Hello guys, it's me Kavou and today we're doing another one of those videos. We're gonna be talking about gear, and more specifically I want to make clear that gear when it comes to Druid Tanks, it's getting divided into full mitigation gear for tanking, which mitigation goes for stamina, for armor, for defense, everything you can think of that gives you a certain bigger advantage to surviving long fights, which is what most of the druids should be focusing on. I have a video talking about the full basic slot mitigation gear, you guys can check that in the end of the video, it's gonna pop up. But I haven't talked about the second type of gear you can get when it comes to tanking, both in raids and dungeons, and sorry if my introduction to the subject is kinda scuffed, but today we're gonna talk about the second type of gear you can get as a druid, which is something I like to call maximum output gear. Output goes for maximum damage done or for short threat gear. So you can either get mitigation gear or threat gear. We've talked about mitigation gear and how strong it is and how better it can be than warriors when it comes to specific fights, when it comes to tanking as a druid, and of course in dungeons too. But I realized that by doing dungeons over and over and over again, I wanted to figure ways to make those dungeons work better, faster, smoother. So like warriors, you can go and tank as a warrior for instance and not have a shield, you can go and dual wield tank, you can go and tank as a warrior while using a two-handed weapon. That means you are sacrificing mitigation for threat. Threat goes for more damage output, threat goes for doing more damage as a tank, and that makes dungeons run smoother, makes dungeons run faster, and if you have the correct gear to do so, it will make your dungeons and your groups be more happy with you, and you will have those dungeons be much more faster. So for druids, we're gonna be talking about threat gear, and threat gear is something that, for instance, it's gonna help you deal much more damage, it's gonna help you keep much more threat, and if you guys are level 6 right now, playing as a druid, tanking as a druid few dungeons and raids, and you have issues with threat, especially on Dras, druids are amazing when it comes to getting threat on single target bosses, but when it comes to more than one target, it kinda gets rough, especially when swipe can hit more than 3 targets, and if you're tanking more than 4, things can get quite messy. So, threat gear is stuff that gives you strength, agility, it's items that give you a certain amount of damage boost by sacrificing against mitigation. I figured out about an item called Mark of the Chosen, which is a trinket you get from finishing a Maraudon quest if I remember correctly, and that trinket, it is something for instance I'm gonna be wearing as a druid tank, because what this does, it has 2% chance to give you or increase all of your stats by 25. This is something that you should be using as a feral if you want to have a DPS boost, but when it comes to tanking as a feral, it's gonna be proccing pretty much constantly, and the buff you get from it lasts for 1 minute, and it's a long time for that to last. So you're gonna get 25 stamina, you're gonna get 25 strength and agility, and that works amazingly if you're playing Alliance, because you will have paladins, and if you combine that with a paladin's buff called Kings, Blessing of Kings, even without Kings, 25 stats on everything, you are getting 25 strength, which means 50 attack power, you are getting 25 agility, which means you are getting 1.3% increase into dodge rating and critical strike rating, and you're also getting 25 increase in stamina, which is a lot of health, which helps for mitigation, the sacrifice you are doing. Things like that is what I'm gonna be using for smoother dungeon runs, and what I like to call threat gear. That's a nice example. When it comes to doing dungeons, I will be taking off my smoking hat of the mountain to replace it with Mark of the Chosen because of the threat it gives us, and that means your attacks are gonna hit so hard and you're gonna be getting so much threat, that's gonna pretty much boost your damage output. Also, another trinket that should be helping you a lot when it comes to getting threat right, it's the trinket that drops from Ragnaros, Ensigns of the Pure Flame. Many people are gonna tell you that this is a junk item, many people are gonna tell you that you shouldn't be using that, but this item, it is so strong, and many people are asking me, what about going for improved thorns, what about using Naggling? The amount of threat and damage you are doing by having Edge of the Pure Flame, it is just so much compared to Naggling, and that should be another trinket you should be using. Then we have rings. For rings, what I like to use is, there is a ring called Bank of Acuria. This ring drops from Ragnaros, from Model Core, and this ring is an amazing that gives you 16 agility, 10 stamina, and decreases your hit chance by 2%. Having hit chance is incredibly strong because when it comes to druids, we're not gonna be getting those very often. And hit chance is something that's always gonna be useful. It's not like you're gonna die or getting one shot if you remove your ring of protection, if you remove your heavy attack item ring, if you're gonna remove your Naggler ring, one of your armor rings, by replacing those with Manufacturia, because 2% hit chance is gonna help you so much to keep threat, because you will hardly ever miss. And the best DPS right now, the best DPS when it comes to raids in dungeons, especially when it comes to rogues and warriors, or hunters even, they are doing amazing DPS because they never miss. And when it comes to me tanking, wearing my full mitigation gear, I mostly miss most of the times, which means less damage and less threat. That's what you get pretty much. You can always balance your mitigation and threat gear, as I like to call it, but if you want and go for full threat gear, you're gonna see your dungeons run so much faster, you're gonna be taking a little bit more damage, but on extension on that, you're gonna be doing so much more. If you cannot get the Manufacturia, which again, I can understand because I don't have it myself, you can always put 2 copies of Tarnished Elven Ring, which is the one you get from doing Diamond North. Those rings are not unique, which means you can stack 2 of those. Each one of those gives you 15 agility, which goes for 0.8%, 0.7% critical strike chance and dodge rating. So starting 2 of those, you are getting almost 1.6% critical strike chance and dodge rating. You also get 30 agility, which goes for 30x attack power. So when it comes to rings and when it comes to thread gear, the best thing you can get is Tarnished Elven Rings, 2 copies of that, or if you cannot, if you have something like Bank of Furia, and for some reason you have this for Honorary Druid, you should be wearing Band of Furia and 1 copy of Tarnished Elven Ring. The rings from Maraudon and the rings from OBRS, I forgot their names, that give you attack power and increase your hit chance. I'm not a bigger fan of those, to be completely honest, because agility works so much more better, because it gives you dodge rating. And we're moving up next. I'm gonna first of all, I'm gonna be covering specific items and I'm gonna move up to the rest. For leggings and gloves, I will go for Devil's Sword set. Devil's Sword set is an amazing set that gives you attack power, which goes for strength, and attack power bonus means that you're gonna be getting lots of strength. By having the by having the set of Devil's Sword, it's gonna give you 2% hit chance. Combining the rings, combining the Devil's Sword set, we're having 4% hit chance. The goal is to get around 8.6% hit chance, because after that, we're not gonna be missing any time at all, and I am saving myself in order to get those, so I can run dungeons much more faster. And of course you can use those as referral DPS too, to get, more damage output and get more threat, or if not threat, just more damage in general. But yeah, the hit chance is extremely good to have. Hit chance means that you're gonna be doing amazing DPS for Feral. Hit chance means you're gonna be doing amazing threat when it comes to Bear as well and Cat. Hit chance is an amazing stat for both tanking and doing damage when it comes to Cat form. It's always nice to have those for both raiding or tanking when it comes to dungeons, but wearing your Devil's Sword set and enchanting that as well, it's gonna give you a much bigger boost when it comes to threat gear. You're gonna be getting so much threat, and so far, we're having Mark of the Chosen, we're having Tarnished Elven Rings. I'm getting the Elven Rings because I know it's very hard to get Band of Furia. If a guild knows exactly what's going on, they should be, passing you Band of Furia as a druid, because you need that more than hunters or rogues, because rogues and hunters and paladins or even warriors, they can get their hit chance gear, but when it comes to druids, we have so few pieces. Band of Furia should be an item that will go for druids and tanking in general. So for our threat gear, we're having 2 Elven Tarnished Rings, we have Mark of the Chosen to get the plus 25 stats on, and we also have the Devil's Sword set, which means gloves and leggings. For the belt, I will go for the belt we're using already with my Feral Tank Druid, which is Cloud Running Girdles. It's an amazing belt, it gives you 14 strength, 15 agility. If you cannot get any of those items I've spoke about, try to get some generic items that increase your agility and strength. I am using my Shadowcraft leggings because they give amazing stats, they give some nice agility and strength, so you get the idea of that. When it comes to bracers, again, Black Mist Arm Guards are the ones I'm using, because again, we're getting 1 extra hit percent, which is amazing, that gets us up to 5%. If you're having Band of Furia, that means you are the 60%, so for the most people like me, we're having 5% hit and right now, and some amazing strength and agility output for threat gear. Then we go for weapons. I like using Previous Giant. What the Previous Giant does is that it increases our hit chance by 1%, and we have an item called Bone Crusher, but I would prefer using Previous Giant more than Bone Crusher. I did a lot of testing with that, and using Previous Giant gives us 2% critical strike chance, it gives us a nice hit chance, and it gives us some nice armor too, which is not the worst to think about. because we're sacrificing a lot of mitigation, and now we're having 6% hit chance, which is a lot, which means we're not gonna be missing as much and as often. And then we're moving to the chest piece. For chest piece now, I like to use Breastplate of Bloodthirst again. If you're a druid, if you're going to play feral, if you're going to play either a cat DPS or druid tank, you should be getting that chest piece because it's amazing for both specs. It's gonna give you 2% critical strike chance, it's gonna give you 1% to dodge, it's gonna give you some very nice stats, and in general it's an amazing chest to have. It also has a base charm of 200, so you should be getting that. And next for the cloak, you can either use the Black Baron's Cape from Stratholm, or you can use... It depends what you want to build really. I like using my Dragon Blood's Cape because it gives us 9 strength. 9 strength is a nice amount of attack power. We also get 22 stamina. I like using that just to try to balance out both my mitigation and threat gear. Then we go for shoulders. Shoulders again, you should be using True Strike shoulders. Those shoulders are amazing. They give you 1 extra % of hit chance. By putting the True Strike shoulders, we're having 7% hit chance. That means you are hardly ever gonna miss. But if you manage to get your Head of Onyxia, you manage to get a nice neck piece that is gonna give you 1% hit chance, and there you go. We're having right now 8% hit chance. So myself, I'm missing my neck piece. I am missing right now my Devil Sword punch, which I'm focusing on getting those in the future. I'm having my gauntlets, so I'm building and getting money towards that set to build up, so I can make even more faster dungeons. So again, that's pretty much all the gear you should be getting. The neck piece from the Head of Onyxia to give you more hit chance, Band of Acuria, Alventanis rings, the Black Mist arm guards to like shoulders, the Imperial design which drops from the 7, which I forgot to mention, Tarnish 11 rings, and pretty much your Devil's Row set. About the helmet again, it depends really what you want to get, how much you want to balance out your mitigation, if you're going to check how much damage you take for instance. I like the way items like Embrace of the Lycan works, or items like the Shadowcraft helmet works, because of the amazing stats we're getting. Embrace of the Lycan is a nice item you should be getting from Zul'Farrak. It's an item that gives you 16 stamina, it has some nice armor for its level, it gives you 8 strength plus 32 attack power, which goes for 16 strength, 16 strength plus 8 more, that's 24 strength from a helmet. I would prefer to use my either Shadowcraft cap or get something like the Lycans or Embrace of the Lycan. You can use again Mask of the Forgiven if you are missing that hit chance. Mask of the Forgiven gives you again 2% hit chance, and it also gives you 1% extra critical strike rating, so you can either get that to maximize your hit chance. Again, you're going to get 8.6%, maybe sometimes 9%. That means you're not going to be missing, that means you're going to be taking a little bit much more damage right now. All it matters when it comes to tanking is getting threat. Threat gear is something I like to use lately because of the how much speed it gives when it comes to clearing dungeons. So that's pretty much all of the set. I'm missing some items myself, but if you combine all of those items right and you're going to equip all of those items, you're gonna end up having around 24-25% critical strike chance with a big chunk of agility and strength and some nice armor. That's why I like to use Thick Hide, by the way. Thick Hide is a talent that many people keep telling me that doesn't work, but for me, I've tested Thick Hide and it gives us, with our full mitigation gear, 1,800 armor. And for some reason, I don't know why, but many people keep telling me that Thick Hide doesn't work, which it's a lie. It works for me. It gives us again slowly by putting points to Thick Hide. With full mitigation gear, I'm getting 68.8% damage reduction, which goes for 69% damage reduction. Without the Thick Hide, we're going down to 66.5% damage reduction, so we're losing more than 1,500 armor. So the reason I like Thick Hide is because we can sacrifice that amount of armor just to put our thread gear on, and that means we're min-maxing out the armor addition we get from that. So that's it for the thread gear, guys. If you cannot get most of your gear right now, if you cannot get most of the stuff, know that with full thread gear you can actually go into amazing DPS too, so it goes well. Many times when it comes to dungeons, when it comes to raids, I'm gonna be raid leading and try to learn how to raid lead, so that's gonna be very rough, especially because I haven't done it at all in my whole WoW history. I'm gonna learn how to do that, but later on, when I'm gonna be an off tank where we have most of our warriors and druids tanking already, pretty much most of our warriors in my guild, I can go and put that gear on and do some amazing DPS in addition to just having, you know, just tank gear on, mitigation gear on. So I like using the thread gear. It's something new that, as I've said, playing a druid right is an amazing feeling because your gear never ends. You can get thread gear, you can get mitigation gear, you can get gear for if you want to play boomkin, you can get gear for, you know, spell power build for PvP, you can get gear for resto, you can get so much gear for pretty much everything. And that's what I like about druids. Your progress, right, when it comes to itemization, it never ends. You always have something to work with, you always have something to work for, and thread gear and professions is gonna be what I'm gonna be focusing for, you know, the next few weeks. Even though in phase 2 comes out, I'm gonna be focusing all of my goal towards that. Professions and getting my thread gear, which will be pretty much my Devil's Set leggings. After those, I'm only missing my Band of Valkyria, I am missing my neck from Onyx, and that's pretty much, and my True Strike shoulders, which I forgot to mention. So again, all of the gear I've mentioned, it gives us in total 9 to 10% hit chance, so you don't need more than 9%, so you can always try to min-max. This video is about telling you guys, all of you who are tanking right now, all of you who might having your tanking gear on, or your full mitigation gear on some base slot gear, know that when it comes to tanking, there is something called thread gear that I wanted to point that out. Thread gear is something that helps you get again more thread, it helps you do even more damage, and it helps you clear dungeons faster, even bosses too, because nobody's gonna be losing thread over you. Druids are the best tanks when it comes to getting thread. They are almost twice as better when it comes to warriors, because if you're mole crits, our moles generate so much more thread than warriors, and if you're mole crits again, because we're working to get crit chance later on, that means you're never gonna be losing thread. And if you're playing a horde, playing a druid is even more better because you're gonna be keeping all the thread on you. So thread gear is something that mostly horde druids are using right now, because they're having issues with thread. Horde again do not have paladins to give the what is called Blessing of Salvation, so when it comes to alliance, you don't even need to have thread gear, I guess, for the most part. I wasn't using thread gear and I was pretty much managing to get everything on me, but from now on I'm gonna be using thread gear myself, so I will never lose thread to anything on me, or you know, most of the times I will not, just to make all their dungeons faster. And that was pretty much for the video, guys. That was my output for, you know, the last almost 2 months of tanking. I figured out about thread gear and how good it is, and Mark of the Chosen again. I think that trinket is pretty much the MVP. It's an amazing trinket that you should be using for tanking. 25 stats, it is so good to have, and it always procs most of the times. I know you're not gonna be using your other secondary trinkets. When it comes to Onyxia, for instance, I am gonna be replacing my blazing emblem with Mark of the Chosen, because you want to get as much threat and damage just to get Onyxia to stick on you, and that's what I'm gonna be working on, you know, from now on. I'm gonna be playing like this, and that was it, guys. Thank you for watching the video, guys. I like the video because it helps with YouTube and it means so much, and if you like to, you can always subscribe. And if you like to, you can always subscribe. We will be streaming for the most of the times. I'm gonna put down my Twitter. Again, I'm somebody who's never done it before, so it might look scuffed for now, but you can always, you know, I don't know, like or follow whatever people do on Twitter, so you can know my notifications when I'm gonna stream. So thank you for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about thread gear. Was it something that you consider about, and is it something that sounds like helpful when it comes to keeping thread? Because I'm hearing by many of you guys having issues to keeping thread, so hopefully that might help, and hopefully that was something that helped you, you know, to get more knowledge about tanking in general, because that's why I love tanking. There is so many things around tanking and I just love doing that. For thread gear, when it comes to warriors, they just, you know, they put a 200 sword, they get some hit chance, they go for dual wield tanking on Fury. But as a druid, we have to get our hit chance and critical strike chance gear on. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and until next time, it was me, Kavou, and peace!